حبيب رمضان رمضان ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, 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 Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. So much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere. So much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere. So much air. And I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب.
Auzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all. Thank you for joining this event. We are going to start now with the recitation of Al-Fatihah. Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum and a very good day. Salam Nat Ramadan. Thank you very much to all for joining this session. I would like to say thank you to all the panelists, Prof. Amin, Prof. Abdurezak, Ustaz Rahman, Madam Nina, to all professors, associate professors, doctors, supporting staff, postgrad students, medical students, and all public who are joining this event today. So basically, today is about a forum. We're going to discuss on the book titled Islamic Medical Jurisprudence. And why we would like to focus on this book is because we have received this book last year from Alhamdulillah, our previous pioneer in IOHK in Kuliyyah of Medicine, which is Prof. Omar Sankasule, who are currently still in Saudi Arabia. So he passed this book to us in order for us to review and also to discuss about the contents of this book. And with the idea from our Dean, Prof. Jamaluddin, we conduct this session in the form of forum in order to discuss and digest the contents of this book. But before we begin the discussion and digestion, I'm going to introduce our panelists, respective panelists today. So we have four important panelists for our discussion on this book forum. for today's event. So I would like to introduce the first presenter and also the first panelist of this event, Prof. Dr. Aminudin Binti Ahmad. Assalamualaikum, Prof. How are you?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining, Prof. Salam Ramadan. Prof. Aminudin is a professor currently at Department of Orthopedics, Kulliyyah of Medicine, International Islamic University of Malaysia, IIUM Kuantan. He's also currently the head of Department of Shariah Compliance, Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah at SASMEC IIUM Hospital. He's also the member of the Senate IIUM representing Kulliyyah of Medicine. He's also a former coordinator of our IOHK Kulliyyah of Medicine and also one of the current advisor of the current IOHK unit. For academic qualification, he received his Doctor of Medicine bachelor degree from University Science Malaysia and also achieved his Master of Surgery in Orthopedics from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Among his well-known projects related to Islamization and Shariah compliance includes development of Shariah compliance monitoring system for implementation in Shariah compliant hospital framework, IOM Ibadah Disability Score, questionnaire in awareness, knowledge and practicality of Solat among inward patients, holistic spiritual care needs among hospitals patients in Shariah compliance hospital, and are revealing the integration of Islamic principles in the clinical practices, and many others. He is known for his active involvement in academic conferences and clinical workshops that are set to educate the students, staff, and the members of the public on the academic subjects that are multidisciplinary in nature. Thank you for coming, Prof. Amin. Second, I would like to introduce Prof. Abdurezak Hashi. Prof, thank you for joining. How are you, Prof? Prof. Abdurezak,
I'm doing good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining despite
Thank
your
you.
busy schedule, Prof. Thank you. Prof. Abdurezak Hashi is a professor in the Department of Biotechnology, Faculty of Science, International Islamic University of Malaysia. He is currently the head of Center of Islamization, International Islamic University of Malaysia, Kuantan. His academic qualifications are as below. He has achieved certificate in Teacher Training Certificate from Mahad Imam Al-Shafiqi, certificate in Memorizing the Holy Quran from Jamaah Tahfiz Al-Quran, Bachelor in Usuluddin and Cooperative Religion from IIUM, Master in Usuluddin and Cooperative Religion from IIUM, and PhD in Usuluddin and Cooperative Religion from IIUM, our respective university. His area of specialization in human sciences, theology, and cooperative religion and bioethics, with more than 20 years of experience in teaching, lecturing, supervising postgraduate students, and conducting academic research in related academic areas. He also have wrote a number of academic books, encyclopedia, referred journal articles, and academic conferences papers, which are published in various countries. He also has been a member of the Reviewers, Qatar National Research Fund, Foundation of Qatar, and Doha, Qatar. He also served as an editor-in-chief for one of the academic and referred journals of our university. Thank you for coming, Prof. Our third panelist is Madam Nina Syazmeen Binti Muhammadin. Thank you for coming, Madam. How are you? Salam Ramadan, Madam Nina. Thank you for joining this event. Madam Nina, currently the head of the Department of Legal Studies, Center of Foundation Studies, International Islamic University of Malaysia. So basically, he is our important person for today's in terms of legal and also law background. Academic qualification include Persijilan Tahfiz from Darul Quran, Bachelor of Laws Honours Special Degree from IIUM, and Master of Comparative Laws in also IIUM. The area of specialization includes social sciences, law, and also comparative law, and also other law, social sciences, comparative law, and Master of Comparative Law. He also an active speaker for IIM Kulliyyah of Medicine in terms of IMP, and she also has been awarded with Gold Medal International Putra Inno Creative Carnival in Teaching and Learning. Thank you for joining this event, Madam Nina. And last but not least, our Ustaz Rahman bin Al-Azmi. Thank you for joining, Ustaz. How are you, Ustaz?
Alhamdulillah, khair. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining this big event. Currently, Ustaz is currently the Shariah officer for SASMEC IIUM. He has involved in many related conferences and workshops either conducted in IIUM or outside IIUM. His educational background includes Tahfiz Certification Program Darul Quran Jakim, Bachelor Degrees of Dietetics from IIUM, Diploma of Arabic Language and Islamic Knowledge from Al-Imam Muhammad Ibn Saud Islamic University, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Bachelor's Degree of Islamic Law Shariah from Al-Imam Muhammad Ibn Saudi Islamic University, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and also Postgraduate Certificate in Islamic Chaplaincy from University of Selangor, UNISEL. It also has been awarded Tawliyah of Teaching Religion, Mufti Office of Pahang State and Federal Territories of Malaysia. So thank you everyone for joining this event. So I just would like to introduce a bit regarding our important book, which is Islamic Medical Jurisprudence. I'm sure that there are some audience already read this book. Some might not be aware about this book. So I would like to share a bit of introduction of this book. So anyone can see my slides about this Islamic Medical Jurisprudence handbook. So basically, this book colored in light blue color and has been published by Saudi Society for Studies in Medical Jurisprudence in collaboration with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Ministry of Higher Education, and Imam Muhammad Ibn Saud Islamic University. So this is the book that been shared to Kuliyyah of Medicine last year by our Prof Omar Hassan Kasule. And we can see that from this cover of the book, it's mentioned that this is one of the product of the society, Saudi Society for Studies in Medical Jurisprudence, who have the vision in order to be the leading of scientific reference in studies, consultations, continuing education, and scientific research in medical jurisprudential issues. And also does include the value of professionalism, initiative, quality, continuous development, and teamwork. So let us see a little bit of the contents of this important book. So this book have been published initially in the first version, in Arabic version, and I tried to search from online. It's been published since 2021, and after that, there is a several version of the book, and the latest is the English version, as prepared by Dr. Suhail Leher and edited by Dr. Abdul Al-Judi. And these are the contents of this book. So I think we can see that there's a lot of chapters covering from the introduction of the jurisprudence about the objective of the Shariah, the seeking medical treatment ethics including infectious disease, and also seeking treatment from the opposite gender, personal privacy, treatment with religiously prohibited substances, regarding medical consent, confidentiality. So there are elements of medical ethics as well in this book. Discussion on negligence, something that is sometimes we might overlook regarding this concept. The rules of worship relevant to patients and doctors, reproductive and gender issues also include here about birth control, family planning, and also abortion, death and dying, and some contemporary issues, sometimes we have discussed before, even in postgrad level, include human milk banks as well as sperm banks, also been discussed in this important book. What I would like to highlight is that there are preface in this book from the Arabic edition as well as the English edition. And it highlighted that before the production of this book, they already gathered few medical and also specialists and practitioners in the field of teaching jurisprudence in medical schools within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And from there, they make some workshop. And also from the outcome of the workshop, they produce and they compile the information in this handbook. So I think it's been well written and also is available even in online. Everyone can see and also can download the book from online as well. So these are the gist of this book. And with that, I would like to ask, so regarding our session today, there will be 2 cycles of discussion about the digestions and also sharing information about this book. The first cycle, all the panelists will be given a question to answer their question within stipulated time. And also in the second cycle, there's another different questions for each individual, for each panelist. They also need to answer the question within the stipulated time. And after the second cycle, we'll open these sessions to audience to ask for any question and also to discuss regarding important topics that have not been highlighted before in the discussion. So with that, I would like to begin our session with the first panelist, Prof. Aminudin. There are already questions been given to him before this session. So the first question that I would like to ask Prof. Amin is that, based on your experience and also experts in medical field, can you actually elaborate and also summarize the contents of this book so far? Prof. Amin?
Jazakallah, Dr. Saiful. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning for everybody. Inshallah, I'll try to summarize the books. I think Dr. Saiful has already mentioned most of the things that in terms of a structure of the books, in which we know that the most important part of the reading the books actually is we need to love the books. How to love the books, we have to know the structure of the book, and then to make sure that we have gone through and scanned the books and then see what is exactly. And then for the purpose of the discussion for today, I already scanned the books and then I read through the books. And then there are a few things that we need to highlight before we go to the summary of the whole books. We know that this small book is a handbook. This is not, textbook or reference book that we can use as references, but looking at the whole books that whole content of the book, I think they are worse than the only handbook. That is need to be agreed. This book is having 236 pages with the A5 sizes. The font actually is for me, for the old people like us, a bit small. However, there is actually you can actually using the PDF form. There actually is can highlight and then open it up, and then. This book have 12 chapters, I think Dr. Saiful already mentioned, but for me, when come to the chapter of the books, when they go from chapter 1 to chapter 12, I like to segregate it so that we can categorize what kind of things that we are expecting for when we are reading the book. For example, for the chapter 1, 2, and 3, I think more of introduction and then the basic knowledge of the Qawaid Fiqh as well as Maqasid Shariah, which is everybody need to understand to go through what actually is going to be discussed in other chapters as well. And then in the second section, I call it the section B, about the seeking a treatment prohibited, and then treatment with prohibited substances, the consent, confidentiality, negligence, and liability, as well as something related to the fiqh or more of the law and medical ethics, which is I think this is a most important part, even for our undergraduate level, you have to know it. And then the third compartment is about the ibadah, rukhsah, darurah, and they have given the specific problem like reproductive issues, death and dying, as well as the other small or I think latest contemporary issue which is need to be highlighted properly. Okay, I also like to extend the books are structured in terms of a preface, like Dr. Saiful mentioned just now. The preface actually is the most important part of the books. And then all of us, when we need to read the books, we need to go through the preface, because the good preface will tell us what is the target of this book, how to read the book, what is the aim, how the process getting to develop of these books, which is I think is well said in the preface in both Arabic as well as English version. And the books actually is introduced us with the word nawazil, means the contemporary issue, especially in the medical fiqh, which is I think this is another concept, and then the study which is good for us actually is to look into, as well as to grow up even for our medical school. And another thing is a very I feel like it's a very strange, because they say this book is a focus for the college student in healthcare, including the medical students, everything. But for me, reading through the books, even we are the seasoned doctors, or we are the consultant, or we are doctors, we feel like this book actually is very beneficial, especially they highlighted the things that is with the evidence. Because in our modern medicine now, we couldn't actually is based only because of hearsay, but we need to get the good evidence, and then this evidence is include the things from the extract from the Quran, hadith, and ijma ulama, and then most of the chapter of this book, they have the section in which this is a consensus by the Islamic fiqh, or another one is I remember the second one, the Islamic Fiqh Academy, which is I think this is two distinguished body that actually is looking into all the fiqh issue, not only in medicine but the whole things, which is I think this is the important part that we need to highlight. The only thing is they will highlight actually also the importance of this book is to narrow the gap between the Islamic fiqh and medicine, which is I think they have done it to merge both of it and then presented well in these books. The only thing is if I can comment, I look at the back, I feel like I can see the glossary, but I don't see the index of the book. Maybe that is a part of their tricks, so that we have to go to glossary, which is I think is a need to be improved in terms of glossary. But the books actually is main for us to read from chapter to chapter and then finish it all, because I think none of this content of the books actually is not useful. All of them actually is important, especially for us who are deal with a patient, deal with the medicine, and then deal with the practical clinical practice in our life. I think that is things that most important part, and then I think this is useful for all, not only for the medical student but also for doctors, also for us to revise it. I give a simple example in this book. I never noticed that anesthesia, basic anesthesia actually is by default is prohibited, because they are affecting the most important of maqasid Shariah, in which actually is a protection of the mind or akal. So but because of the reason by qawaid fiqhiyah, that means that the benefit of it is more than the harm of it. So we are now using the benefit of the anesthesia for all, which is I think is important to highlight, because we have to make sure that we are actually bound by the medical ethics. We are bound by certain Islamic ruling, the fiqh and jurisprudence of this one, so that we are have the awareness of it. So in terms of our practice. So it actually is if I can just go a few more things. I need to highlight the first chapter, in which this is good things that happen in most of the handbook like this. They highlight the definition: what is medicine, what is a fiqh, what is the maqasid Shariah, and then they are also talking about a bit of a history of medicine. The only thing I don't like the words Arabizing, which is I think is more appropriate if you can say is Islamization rather than Arabization, which is it's not it's not about actually is talking about the Arab. I mean, you actually transform the knowledge, the civilization from the previous civilization and used to the Islamic civilization. That is not this is actually is things that have been done ago. As we understand that the medicine is roots from the thousands of years. The Egypt medicine roots actually about 600, or the Chinese, Indian, they have far earlier than this. This is actually is the knowledge that we can actually is using, and then the earlier part of Islam, they are using it, and then they modify it so that they are parallel and then the fiqh to the Islamic ruling, and then they are not prohibited and everything. this is actually is the process of the Islamization that they actually is ongoing, and then we also have to also get the use as well as the practice it in our life as well. And then at the end of this, they were talking about the objective of the book and then the target group, and then what so on, what actually is important, what we are expecting in this book, so that we can actually is fully utilize the book. And then the last word from this first round, I think the most important part we have to understand, the books is the good handbook, good, full of information, is something which is previously we may know, but they are adding few things that actually is important for us to understand it correctly with the good evidence and then the opinion of others. I think for the first round, that is the things that I'm going to highlight. Maybe inshallah we'll go further and then listen to other panels so that we can have a good discussion today, inshallah. Wassalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much, Prof. Amin. Maybe I can just ask one more question, Prof. Pertaining to your discussion just now. I would like to focus on Chapter 8, negligence. I know that from the workshop that we've done from your previous lectures before, I feel that negligence is really important to be aware by our medical doctors, because sometimes it could be direct, sometimes it could be indirect. So it's not clear sometimes. In this handbook, in this book, it's been highlighted in 6 pages. And do you think, Prof, this topic on negligence on this book is already enough, or is actually just an opening remark for us to further on this topic?
Yes. Okay. I just highlight is not only negligence and liabilities, which is I think maybe Ms. Nina can comment further. But in terms of the confidentiality, the consents, and then another one is the doctor-patient relationship. That is actually is for the whole thing, which is included in the medical ethics, which is very important. The medical negligence part actually is now become a lot of issues. You read in the newspapers how people be sued by the patients because of so-called medical negligence or mismanagement of the patient, which is I think this is important issue that we need to highlight and then go to I mean, not only the basic things, also we need to know the application of it, how this medical law and then the medical the medical law, the medical ethics, as well as the medical negligence, which is a blend together and then need to be known by everybody. Obviously, in this chapter, actually, is the discussion is not enough for us to cater what actually is happening nowadays. This is a special issue. Even we also actually is going to have the series of a talk, workshop, or whatsoever to handle this thing. Especially is to protect the doctors, because as we know that the medical law, Malaysian medical law, medical act actually is not protecting the doctors. They are protecting other parties from the doctors, which is I think most of us doctors never realize that is a case that whenever happen actually is the public actually is protected from the doctor, but the doctor themselves actually is not well protected, which is I think this is the things that need to have complement with a good medical ethics, so that if we can bound ourselves to the profession, medical profession properly, they will help us in terms of reducing of the medical negligence in our practice. I think that is my comment for this this issue, because I think needs for the clarification and then more discussion on this medical negligence and liability, which is faced by all doctors and medical health personnel.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Prof. Amin, for that wonderful and lengthy explanation in terms of the summary of the contents based on your expert and also opinion. So for those that who just joined our session today, this is actually a book forum session. So we are going to discuss, we're going to give some critiques in the positive manner regarding the book that we're going to reveal today, which is Islamic Medical Jurisprudence. So it's not about a lecture on the Islamic Medical Jurisprudence, it's about the book. And we're discussing the contents and also the relevance of its contents to our community and public for today. So we're going to shift to the second panelist. We have today Prof. Abdurezak Hashi. Prof, how are you, Prof?
Yeah, good. I'm doing good.
Alhamdulillah,
Yes.
thank you for joining, Prof. So as
Yes.
I already give you the question before this. So the question for you, based on your expert, can you summarize or can you elaborate this book based on your expertise, based on your Islamic perspective and also your Islamic education's background and your opinion regarding the contents of this book, Prof?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Shaifu, for chairing the meeting and also for organizing this knowledge sharing and beautiful session on this important topic as well. Also, I like to convey my salam to everyone, the panelists and also the participants. To start with, I think I will go through. I think you already made the introduction for this book, and you make you make a summary about the publication, and then you did mention that this book originally was written in Arabic, and then this is a translation, the one we have. This is the English version. I'm not sure whether it was an exact or literal translation from the Arabic version, or it was actually meant the book to be in both languages, in both English and Arabic. But I will check the Arabic. I have not seen the Arabic version yet, but I will go through as well. So my summary and my comment on the book actually begins with the title itself. Number one, first one. Because, okay, the history of the book with me, actually, thankfully, I got the book from you last year, if you remember, the Shayful. When I visited your office, you did give me this copy, which I still have it.
Yeah.
And since then, to share with you, it was, how do I say, a reading book for me. And it was also more like I used to advise my student, especially students from Kulliyyah of Medicine and Allied Health Science, to make this book, as a reference, or actually, it's not a big book of reference book, but it's just like a handbook, as Amin was mentioning. So, some pages, some contents, I have already used it for my classes, thankfully. So the book was with me since then. I took it from you. Thank you. So when I saw the book, Islamic Medical Jurisprudence, actually that is where my summary begins. The word Islamic jurisprudence, I think the authors of the book, they carefully chose the right word to me. Because we normally hear the word fiqh al-tib, right, or qanun al-tib, or medical law, right? But in Islam, when we talk about qanun al-tib or medical law, right? But in Islam, when we talk about qanun al-tib or medical law, right? Oh, there is an echo, right? There is an echo. So when we talk about, Islamic jurisprudence, can you hear me, Dr. Shayful?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. So when we talk about this field, actually the relationship between values and medicine as a science, I'm not giving any definition of medicine. That's not my field. But as medicine as an applied science, when it's combined with values, normally there is a discussion about which word to choose. The connection or the combination between values and applied science, including medicine, right? Or pharmacy or healthcare generally, or biotechnology, the applied science. So some people, they express it as, what do you call, let us say, medical law. And when we talk about law, actually we have, the law as rules and, and norms and statements, and also the process of making the law. So the process of making the law, involves a lot. That is what we call usul al-fiqh in Islamic tradition, the process of making the law. And the law itself, we call it fiqh in the Islamic tradition. So if somebody comes and says, well, as we always do, if somebody comes and says, well, this is a Islamic medical law, then we assume this person is talking about purely the relationship between law and medicine. But the connection between values and medicine is actually more than law. So it involves actually beyond, because as a medical doctor, you are not only following what the law tells you to do, but actually you are doing a lot of processes of like ijtihad. You are doing a lot of issues which you need to solve, contemporary issues, critical issues. In other words, it's not that the do and don't of the law, but also you are doing more like judgment, you're assessing, you're evaluating, you're examining. So in other words, I think the connection between this is what attracted me about this book. The connection between medicine and value is more than a law, actually. And it also, it includes dimensions of ethics, dimensions of spiritual, level and mental health as well, right? So yeah, just mentioning that this is a, medical law alone, to me, I think is not enough. So using the word usulul fiqh, which includes the law, because according to fuqaha later on, if you go to IOHK, they will tell you when we use the word usulul fiqh, is actually which means the process of making the law, which includes what? It includes ijtihad, it includes understanding the Islamic sources of law, it includes even the law itself. In other words, some ulama they normally put this way, the relationship between fiqh and usulul fiqh, or usulul fiqh and law. They say that every faqih may not necessarily be usuli, but every usuli necessarily is faqih. So in other words, usul al-fiqh is wider than the law itself, because usul al-fiqh involves a lot. In order for you to be usuli, you need to know the language, you need to know the usul al-fiqh, the Quran and Sunnah, to know tafsir, to know this, In other words, in terms of its scope, usul al-fiqh is wider than the fiqh. So fiqh is only the law, the do and don'ts, but usul al-fiqh is wider. Okay. So when we want to talk about the connection between medicine and values, I think the right word is usuli, more like jurisprudence rather than fiqh. And when we translate the word jurisprudence, normally we mean usul al-fiqh. When we translate the word law in Islam, we mean the fiqh. So those who selected the word Islamic Medical Jurisprudence, what I want to say is that is the right description actually. The connection between fiqh and medicine is more than the law itself. So that is one thing. Number two, if we go into the content of the book, as Dr. Amin also mentioned, Prof. Amin mentioned, is it contains, as you can see, about 12 chapters. So we already have the summary done by Professor Amin. But what I did actually, when I go through the book, although I didn't finish yet, but I have completed at least one scanning, reading session, is that you notice that the chapters can be grouped into certain, groups. The chapters of the book, the 12 chapters of the book. So from chapter 1, the introductory, up until 4, I think we can call it the introductory basic concepts. The authors of the book, or the publisher here, the authors basically, they have actually summarized it, the basic concepts related to the relationship between Islamic jurisprudence and medicine. So when you go to the introduction to medical jurisprudence, yes, that is where they started, how, they want to establish the connection between medicine and jurisprudence. So they explain it well. So the basic concepts. And then in Islam, when we talk about usul al-fiqh and law, then we have to talk about maqasid al-sharia. So they talk about maqasid al-sharia, which is actually the founding, principles or guiding principles for making, legal judgment or establishing legal position or, judge, so forth. And then we have what we call qawaid fiqhiyah, which basically means an establishing norms or maxims or codes of fiqh, which are actually important for the Islamic law. If you want to study or establish any fiqh judgment, then you have to be aware on the qawaid fiqhiyah, because these are the norms that are established by the ulama. It is a general statement that contains a lot of information but covers a good subject. So now you have a connection, and then the higher maqasid al-sharia and the qawaid fiqhiyah, and then they talk about one important issue that is actually discussed among the fuqaha and also among Muslim medical doctors as well, which is actually the the fiqh or the judgment or the hukum or the position, if you want, on seeking medical treatment. Somebody may say, well, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I tawakkul ala Allah. If I become sick, it's only Him who makes people sick. So some people are actually putting it like the ultimate healer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah wa shafi. So why should I seek treatment? Some of our sisters are delivering babies at home. They don't want to come to the hospital because they are worried about aura. Some people don't want to come to the medical centers because they say that it's God who gives his health and it's God who gives his also sickness. Therefore, why should I worry about? If God makes me ill, then I have to accept. In other words, I have to tawakkal ala Allah. So there are some people who are creating that kind of as if seeking medical treatment is against the tawakkul of Allah and also against the the belief in qada wal qadar as well. So in order to address that issue from Islamic perspective and to share the comments, the Islamic position on that, the legal position, the fiqh position, the usuli position, and also usuluddin position, they give that chapter 4. That is why they highlighted beautifully seeking medical treatment from Islamic perspective. Yes, Allah who was Shafi, the ultimate healer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the same time, في عالم الأسباب والمسبب, cause and effect, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us through the Prophet, or ibadallah, seek treatment, right? Ibadallahi tadawu. So how to do tadawu? What happens? Is it wajib? Is it sunnah? Is it what recommended? They highlighted that in that chapter. So basically these 4 chapters, to me, I would say they more like they focus it on the basics, right? The basic concepts related to medicine and usul al-fiqh, which is beautifully explained there, right? Chapter 5, 6, 7, 8. Those chapters, I can call it more like the applications. Now you have the Islamic fiqh, right? And now you have Islamic jurisprudence. Then now when we want to apply, then they give some practical issues, which are like what? Treatment with religiously, prohibited substances. Is it, for example, the drugs that we, medical doctors are prescribing, right? So can drugs and prohibited substances become function as treatment, for example? Can we use it for, let us say, wine? Is it halal to use it as a treatment, medical treatment or drug, right, for healing or not? So now is the application, and this issue is actually up to today is being discussed. But this, I have seen a very beautiful summary there in that chapter. Medical consent, confidentiality, and also negligence. These are 3 hot issues within the medical profession, I know. And then what is the Islamic position about this? They highlight it also nicely. So these 4 areas, I call it together, these 4 chapters more like the application and practices, right? Then the other 4 chapters, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, and 12, I call it, actually, I already marked it last year when Dr. Shaiful gave me the book. These are more like the, how do I say, it's more like the issues and the controversial matters there in medicine, right? For example, they have chapter 9, they have issues like what? How to perform ibadah or worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a medical doctor, as a nurse, in other words, as a healthcare provider, there are cases where you are providing, you are in a hands-on case. You are handling serious cases, but Salatul Maghrib comes in. So how do I perform my ibadah? Should I focus on this patient to save life, or should I perform my ibadah? It's a very critical point. Medical doctors, they are especially the what do you call those who are involved in surgical operations, right? So they did it nicely there. The rules, what are the governing rules from fiqh perspective? And I like that, the way they put it. Reproductive and gender issues, more like the family, ethics, right? Family law. So there are a lot of issues, in vitro fertilization, and then they highlighted here the issue of, let us say, abortion, contraception. Here they did, gender selection. Those are the topics that they highlighted also in that chapter, which I think they gave a very good summary. Another hot issue is like the death and dying. How to define death and dying, when death becomes a death, because from Islamic perspective, the ulama used to discuss about when death is death. Is it when the brain death or the heart stops functioning? So here they bring the issue and they highlight it nicely. Where the definition of death and permissibility of committing, let us say, physician-assisted death. What is the Islamic position? What the fiqh of Islam says about this? They beautifully illustrated that very, concisely. Then here they highlighted again issues that are related to medicine, but not directly, part of medicine, if I'm not mistaken. Like, let us say, cosmetic surgery. When somebody wants to perform cosmetic surgery, let us say want to have a new face, is that person patient? The definition, or is how to define? These are new issues, right? Contemporary issues. So yeah, I have seen. So this is how I divide it. So the book could be divided into 3 categories: introductories, basic concepts. Introductory, which is the base concept, and then you have applications, issues. That are the 3 area I can say the book content can be classified. Yeah, back to you, Dr. Shaiful. Sorry, I took longer time, I think.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Prof. Abdurezak, for highlighting us, especially on the its title itself, jurisprudence. So I learned that it's beyond medical law. It's beyond medical law. Jurisprudence itself is on its own. Is actually meanings towards usul, and is somehow rather correlate between the medicine and the fiqh, and therefore is beyond the other underlying medical law itself. So it's covering everything, right? And you did highlighting us about the flow of the chapters, starting from the introduction, about the basic concept, and also inclusion of the maqasid Shariah. And after that, on the subsequent chapters, another 4 chapters is on the practicality concept of the basic concept that have been introduced before in the previous chapter, and the last one on the controversial issues. And what makes me more happy to read about this book is that they're also covering about medical insurance, which I feel like some of us might not be aware, especially the public, regarding the importance of medical insurance because of possible being subsidized by the government and so on. But it's been highlighted here in general, which I feel that is also to be covered. Yes, and I agree totally with you, Prof. Razak. I feel that most of the important controversial issues have been highlighted and been touched either in general by these authors and by these societies from Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much, Prof. Razak. Now we shift to the subsequent panelists. Alhamdulillah, we have our Madam Nina Syazmeen here in order to discuss with us regarding this topic from her point of view. So, Madam Nina, as I've given to you the question before, based on your experience in terms of your expertise in law, would you able to actually summarize or give opinions about the contents of this book, Madam Nina?
Yeah, actually, I've prepared a slide to share with you guys. So let me
Madam
share
Nina
this.
would like to share. All right, thank you very much, Madam Nina.
Okay. Actually, I did prepare from the first chapter, which contain the objective. Yeah. Can you see the slides here? Can you see the slides, Doctor?
Yes, we can see your slide, madam. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Dr. Saiful, for approaching and inviting me to become one of the panelists. I must say I'm not the best in medical law. I'm not the expert in medical law, but I've read extensively chapter 6, 7, and 8, and inshallah I'll be sharing my comments and some insights of the summary of this book. And first of all, the first thing first, I think the objectives of this book has been clearly written, okay, whereby we know that as what Prof. Amin says just now, it is aimed primarily, I think, for the students in health sciences. But when we read the book further, when we go through the book, it is more than that. You know, the public, the non-Muslim practitioners, the non-medical practitioners can also benefit from this book. And it is also aimed to bridge the gap between two major disciplines, which I think is very important, because some might think of modern medical medicine might not go hand in hand with Islamic jurisprudence. Well, by reading this book, we could see that the gap, the loopholes can be filled in by Islamic jurisprudence. And then it further explain on the definition, which I don't intend to explain more, because this is the first part of the book, and then it explains about the importance of seeking medical treatment. So it draws an analogy as narrated by Usama bin Sharik, when he narrated when he was with the Prophet, when somebody would come and said, "O Messenger of Allah, should we make use of medical treatment?" He replied, "Make use of medical treatment, for Allah has not made a disease without making a remedy for it, with the exception of one." They asked, "What is that one?" He replied, "Old age." So it was known that Bedouin are less susceptible to disease. So even that kind of community, the Bedouins who rarely got sick, I believe, they were encouraged by the Prophet to seek medical treatment. What more us, the urbanites that lead a sedentary life, or take, let's say, processed food every day. So it is much more important for us to seek medical treatment. So I think that it is good that the authors put the importance and the essential why medical field, while seeking medical treatment, is important to be understood. Yeah. So at the very beginning, the readers will be given the importance of seeking medical treatment. And then in chapter 2, I am glad to say that this chapter was explained extensively by the authors, because it lays down first the foundation, the maqasid Shariah. And I can imagine if this book was read by the non-Muslim practitioners, the non-Muslim medical students, it enhances their understanding by first knowing of what Islamic jurisprudence was based on. So these 5 essential values on Hifzul Din, Hifzul Nafs, Hifzul Aql, Hifzul Nasab, and Hifzul Mal. And it is very good where if the audience can refer to that particular chapter, where they closely related the medicine and medical field, and how it could preserve these 5 values. Like how medicine can preserve religion. Of course, this is straightforward. By if we have a healthy body, then we could perfect our salah. We need a healthy body to fast and to go for Hajj. That is quite straightforward. And of course, the preservation of life, where the medical field saves life of people, intellect and dignity as well. But I am very impressed where they could even relate Hifzul Mal, the property, the preservation of property, to medical as well. So I did not think of how do we relate medicine and property. So when I read that particular part, I am glad that they are able to relate. A society with illness cannot be productive. Therefore, it will reduce the economical value of the particular community, for example. So that relates directly to the Hifzul Mal element. And then, of course, the doctors are also encouraged to consider the financial capabilities of a patient before prescribing unnecessary medication, as well as Dr. Shaful mentioned just now about medical insurance, which is related as well to the fifth value, which leaves Zulmal. Okay, I don't intend to go further of this basic principles part. I will just go to chapter 6 on medical consent. Before that, I would like to remind that in Malaysia, we are not implementing Sharia law. So we have Malaysian law um, that is founded on common law practice or English law. So the application of legal rules, the application of medical law as what explained by this book might not be the same as the applied law in Malaysia. So I found some differences. I did some comparison between the Islamic jurisprudence book here and the current practice of Malaysian law, and more or less most of the rules are similar, but there are some that is not the same as applicable in Malaysian court. Yeah. So it started off with this definition of consent by the authors. It is understanding and agreement of the patient or guardian or proxy to the medical procedures necessary for his treatment. This is the same as outlined by the Good Medical Practice 2019 about implied consent and the transgression if consent was not obtained, respectively in JMP 2019 and 2016, whereby this is the same as what outlines in that in Saudi as well as in Malaysia. And then it goes further. It says that in the book, the patient has the right to choose a doctor. Okay, it talks about right of a patient, because it says that the trust issue has an effect on recovery, because if the patient trusts his doctor, he may disclose all medically important information to the doctor, and that would help in giving best medical treatment by the doctor. And then this is also similar. This is also, I would say, applicable to the current situation in Malaysia, whereby, according to JMP 2019, a patient has the liberty to access the various options available for the same treatment, as well as the right to a second opinion at any time. Similar to the case of Chai Chong, where the court held that every person has a right to seek medical treatment at a hospital of his choice, be it at a government or private hospital. So again, the theoretical explanation by the book is applicable to the current implementation of medical law in Malaysia. And then without consent, the procedures are considered as transgression, of course, where a procedure was conducted on a person without his consent, then the doctors might have the responsibility to be liable of medical negligence. And then it further explains that it is not permissible to obtain consent through coercion or exploitation, enticing them to give money. In other words, the consent was not a free consent. It is not voluntary. It is because of money, because of under a threat. Yeah? So it is not permissible, both in Islamic jurisprudence as well as in Malaysian medical law. And then it further tells us on the requirements for valid consent. Okay, it says the person has the right to give consent and legally competent. He must be sane, he must be an adult, and must be aware of the nature of consequences. So this shows that the doctor must inform, the consent must be an informed consent. The doctor must inform the nature of the procedure, the consequences of the procedure to the patient. And then free consent, not under coercion, not under a threat of death. For example, if you don't do this procedure, then you might be dead, for example. So that is not free consent. And then the treatment must be Sharia permissible. So this is good, I think, because if you give consent on to draw a tattoo on your body, then it is not valid because it is not Shariah permissible. Okay. And then last one on this topic, it gives us the exceptions where the element of consent might be dispensed with, maybe meaning that you don't need consent in these three situations. Number one, public welfare, where it involves, for example, contagious disease, and then the ruler or the government might impose that procedure without getting consent from the particular patient. And then in terms of critical cases, in cases of accident, fire, for example, that needs an urgent procedure, then the consent might not be obtained, as well as minor procedures for children. This is new for Malaysian, in a Malaysian context. We have no such element of the exception. Okay. So it says in the book, minor procedure. Minor procedures on children might not, the consent might not be obtained without the need of obtain the consent of their guardians when it comes to simple treatments administered to sick or injured students or required vaccination that are carried out by school nurses. So according to that book, those kind of procedures do not need consent. But if when I cross refer to medical Malaysian law, no matter how minor the procedure is, if the patient is underage or below 18 years of age, the next of kin or legal guardian's consent must be obtained. Yeah. If not, then the particular practitioner might face the legal consequences. And then we move on to chapter 7. It talks about confidentiality. I have not so much comment on this chapter because I think that it is very in line with the current medical practice in Malaysia, where it founded on the perspective of revealing someone else's secret is prohibited except in cases of necessity. For example, to reveal confidential medical information in court, as a witness, the doctor as a witness has to reveal, to disclose the patient's information, then that falls under exception. But as a general rule, the practitioner, even in the Hippocratic Oath, it also asks the doctor to not reveal the the personal medical information. For example, in Hippocratic Oath, there it says, all that may come to my knowledge in the exercise of my profession, I will keep secret and never reveal. Okay, similar to the Declaration of Geneva, I will keep the secrets that have been confided in me even after the patient has died. So it is relevant and in line with the Malaysian practice. And then also in the MMC guideline also talks about confidentiality that you can read in the slides. And it further explains about the exceptions where confidentiality might not be confirmed, where in cases of confession to a crime, meaning that the doctor is needed to become a witness and to disclose certain information, and then incompatibility of potential spouse, suspicion of zina, and contagious disease. Yeah. This is quite similar with Malaysian law. If the disclosure of confidential information is under the consent of the patient itself. So the patient himself allows the doctor to disclose the information, and then disclosure in the public interest, for example, the contagious disease, and then similar to the disclosure allowed by statutes where to prevent and control disease under Prevention and Control Diseases Act 1988. Okay. Next, I would like to talk about Chapter 8, negligence and liability. It is good that Dr. Shaiful asked Prof. Amin about that the length of the chapter. It only covers, I think, 7 to 8 pages, which is I think a very surface introduction of what negligence and liability is. So if this I think that because of the aim of this book is for the primary aim is for the students in health sciences, then it is acceptable that only 7 pages is allocated to this big chapter, to this big topic. Yeah. So it lays down the elements of liability, the causes of liability, how the liability can be classified. It could be morally, professionally, criminally, and then the consequences that will be faced by the doctors if they are found liable, which were explained in general. So they do not really refer to any cases that had happened in Saudi, for example, or what we call that, the leading principle or leading cases. They might want we might want to read further on that topic, but by just relying on this 7 pages, I think it is not enough. Maybe for introduction of negligence and liability, then it is okay, but to go to the element, then it is you have to read, I think, sources that is more practical and more and closer to the Malaysian law context. Now, for example, in Malaysia, we practice common law, medical negligence regulation, whereby it says that negligence means more than heedless or careless conduct. It properly connotes the complex concept of duty, breach and damage thereby suffered by the person to whom the duty was owing. So the main element as applied in Malaysia was not even discussed in as applied in common law countries, was not even discussed in the book, where in medical negligence we need at least 3 elements: the duty of care, the breach of duty of care, and the causation or consequential damage caused by the breach. So this was tackled very briefly by that chapter, where I think it could be improved later on, and you have to get the assisted references, other references, first to read further on the general introduction of that negligence, and then you can go deeper by reading on the medical negligence in Malaysia. Then you can relate how explanation made by this book can be relevant to the practical aspect of Malaysian medical law practice here. Yeah? So I think that is all. All in all, it is good for especially for this chapter 8, it is good for a general introduction and overview for medical negligence, but not for understanding. Just an overview of what is medical negligence and the liability. Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Madam Nina. Really helpful with the slides. I really believe that everyone would love your presentation just now, because you helped them to understand the book better. And probably some of them do not want to read the book, so they already read the book through your slides. So it helps them in order to understand the book better. I realized that you did highlight about the Makasih Shariah principles, and it's good that the authors highlighted about the element of property in the long-term benefits about the human resources. Yeah, when our publics are healthy, definitely can provide back the services to the community and even to the growth of the economy of the country. And also about the similarities of the consent being taken in Saudi Arabia, according to this book, as well as in Malaysia. But more important is that they highlighted the importance of it must be Sharia compliance about the procedures. Therefore, I think that is realistic and practical to have Sharia compliance hospitals in Malaysia, has been increasing in number in our country. And also about the consent just now, about the exceptions, they highlighted that there are certain procedures in children no need to be taken consent, which I'm happy if they can be applied in Malaysia, example, in terms of vaccination, because we now still facing vaccination refusal group in our country, when we would like to recommend or advocate or advise the guardian for vaccination for their children. But nevertheless, we sometimes need to respect the opinions and also the stance of the guardian and also the parents. Another one is about the negligence just now. Yes, I think I 100% agree with Madam Nina. is a good introduction point in this book. But nevertheless, the lack of case scenarios, the real case scenarios possible because of their confidentiality. But sometimes they can give some created scenarios for understanding of the readers, possible not the true one, but the similar one
The hypothetical.
yeah, for that we can understand more in terms of practical setting. But probably that when it's silence on that case scenarios, so the readers from any countries should relate themselves about the setting in their own country itself. Like in Malaysia, we have to look at our Malaysia setting. Yeah. Thank you very much, Madam Ina, for the extensive, wonderful, concise presentation on the aspect of the chapters that you touched just now. So pertaining to that, I'm sure that we're talking about Shariah compliance just now, and therefore I would like to invite Ustaz Rahman in order to give his opinions based on his expertise, based on his education, also experience from his Islamic backgrounds in terms of the contents of this book, Ustaz Rahman. Well, can you elaborate and can you summarize the contents for us? Thank you, Ustaz.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In the afternoon, early afternoon, to all moderator, Dr. Shafir Isan, the panelists, Prof. Aminudin, Prof. Abdurezak, Hashi, and Nina. I have a slide. Can I share?
Yes. Thank you, Ustaz. Yes, you can share.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your slide.
Okay, right. Firstly, when Dr. Saiful invite or ask me to share about this book, I'm very excited because this book is published by my alma mater, is Imam Muhammad Islamic University. But when I for the other panelists, I think I'm not the right person to share because the other is professor and the lecturer is Madam Ina, expert in law.
You
I
are the
try my
best
best.
person as well, Ustaz.
Yeah.
You are the best person as well.
I try my best to give my comment on this book. Okay. And then since I the last finalist, so nothing much to talk. Already covered by all the finalists. I just touch a little bit about this book. Okay. So when we see the overview, the content, I think as Prof. Amin said, it start with introduction. It's very important to tell about the history, about the Muslim physician, the past and objective. And the another thing is very important is to tell about the general ruling of studying medicine, maybe to seek the medical treatment. It's very important. We need to have clear explanation in the early of discussion. And then the second proceed to the maqasid Shariah as said by the Prof. Abdurezak is a fundamental things we need to clear because all 5 elements of maqasid Shariah is closely related to medical. As we at hospital SASMEC, we identify all the process with the maqasid Shariah. Even for the protection of property, for example, there is an issue. This issue for billing, charging, and so on. Then after that, the discussion about the qawaid fiqhiyah or fiqh maxims is very important because this is a general principle they apply to various issues and cases, especially in medical. Then second treatment, I think is about the aqidah and belief. Then the chapter 5 is about treatment with prohibited substance. This also very important topics because it's a highly concerned among the public. This issue is highly concerned among the public, especially for the Muslim, especially for our culture and our religion. It's halal or not? I think it's very important to discuss. And then medical consent, confidentiality and negligent liability already explained by the Madam Nina. That is about fiqh. As said by Prof. Abdurezak, is about fiqh. It's a frankly asked by the patient at the ward. Dalam ward, it's a very common issue. Is it we can perform the salah, we can perform the wudu. So it's very important for the student, for the medical lecturers to know, to understand the rules or the basic about this thing. And then the next chapter is about the reproductive gender and issues. I think it's a very sensitive issue, especially for the Muslim, and not many books have discussed this matter in detail. So it's very important to touch this topic. And then after that, the topic about the death and dying is so very important because there are issue. It's highly debate. For example, brain death, euthanasia, autopsy. So we need a discussion, a brief explanation about this issue. And the last one is about nawazil. I think as said by the Prof. Hashi, these are some issues that's very controversial and need to have the clear picture about this issue. So Dr. Saiful asked me to try to focus on 3 topics, which is number 3, 5, and 12. So I go to first about the chapter 3, Qawaid Fiqhiyah, maxims. This maxims is our principle. It's very important because it will help the healthcare personnel to understand specific issues with the same principle. Because when we are in the medical, we have too many issues, too many problems. But sometimes they have a same principle, same ruling. So when we understand the basic principle, it can help to implement the other, to cater, to face the other issues. So what the jurists or fuqaha said that there are 5 leading major maxims. The first is al-umur bi maqasidiha, matters are determined according to the intention. The second one is certainty is not ruled by doubt. Al-yaqin la yazul bi shak. The third is hardship due to facility. Al-mashaqqah tajlibu taysir. And the fourth is harm must be removed or eliminated. Al-darar yuzal. And the last one is custom is basis for judgment with al-ada muhakkam. In this book, authors only focusing on only one of the 5 major maxims, which is al-darar yuzal, harm must be removed or eliminated. Why? Because this maxim is very important and very closely related to medical field, sickness, disease, about the patient and so on. But for me, the other 4 maxim also have a related with the medical or with the medical background and so on. Because, for example, al-umuru bi maqasidiha, all things is depend on the intention. So when we go to surgery, it depends. Plastic surgery, for example, what the purpose? So I think this the missing part of this chapter, because only focusing on one of legal maxim. Otherwise, we have other maxim is also related to the medicine of sickness and so on. Okay. So for the ad-darar yuzal, harm must be removed or eliminated. The basis is based on one hadith, la darar wa la dirar. And when we overview or we look into this chapter, the authors start discussion with explanation about the meaning of the maxims, and then come up with a relevant medical application. I think it's very important because we can have a theory part, but the most important, how to relate with medical application. So we have many examples in this book. For the example, for the one maxim or one sub-maxim, so the authors will come with at least 4 medical application to make clear for the reader what the meaning behind this maxim. So the authors start with the major maxim with the harm must be eliminated or removed, and then continue with 6 sub-maxims, which is harm is repelled as much as possible, has not be eliminated by an equivalent harm, greater harm should be eliminated by means or a lesser harms Order of treatment takes precedence over bringing about benefit. Necessity renders prohibited things permissible. And the last one, necessity is given consideration, but in due proportion. All of this come with at least 4 medical applications and supported by evidence. Evidence, either contemporary source or trust source. I think it's very important to understand about this topic, and it's very helpful and useful for the reader. Then I proceed to the chapter 5, which is treatment with prohibited substance. It's very significant because this issue is highly concerned among the public, especially our culture and religion. Okay, so the authors begins with a general principle, which is treatment with forbidden materials is generally prohibited if there is no necessity and if a religiously permissible alternative is available. It's very important to understand this principle because it can apply to all the prohibited substances. Then the author extend the explanation. In case of necessity, the following condition must be followed. First, verified by competent and trustworthy Muslim physician. Then, use of prohibited substance has been proved to generally be safe and no halal alternative. So this principle is very important to understand by the students and healthcare personnel because it can help them to implement in whatever substance. Then the authors provided evidence from Quran and Sunnah with explanation of the meaning. It's very important. When we say it's permissible or not permissible, what's the evidence? What's the sources? So I think it's enough, the sources and evidence. And then the focus of discussion on this topic is about the common prohibited substance, such as alcohol, narcotics, gelatin, porcine-based insulin and gelatin, and substance from animal-based and heparin-based medicine. I think it's very helpful for the students and personnel to understand about this issue of this topic. And the last one, I think is very important, is a contemporary issue. There are 6 issues. They are have been discussed in this topic. The first one is plastic surgery and DNA analysis, organ transplantation, genetic engineering, body banks, and muamalah issues. So I do the summary, but it's quite lengthy, I think. The first one is about cosmetic surgery. The ruling depends on the purpose. So I think for those who to make short note for it, they can take this slide to understand what's the hukum or the ruling cosmetic surgery, for example. If solely to improve appearance, it's not permissible, but depend on the purpose. The second one is reconstructive surgery is permissible because it's what you want to reconstructive. And then the genital surgery, we need to know the purpose also. If it's to abnormalities, it's permissible. But just to improve the appearance of genital or change the function, man to man, woman to man, it's not permissible. The second one is the DNA analysis. First one is used in forensics. In general, it's permissible, except using DNA as sole evidence in hudud cases. And hudud cases for zina, for example, is a debate among Muslim scholars. The second one is used for establishing paternity. It's very important. I think it's a very debate because some of scholars say that the DNA we can use it as a sole evidence to establish paternity, but the Muslim scholars they have their view that not priority to establish paternity, but some cases we can use DNA. For example, to identify unknown lineage of children, case of confusion. But if the legally established lineage, we not need to use DNA analysis because it can be a hiccup and fitnah after that. The third one is organ transplantation. I think is also have been discussed in many conference and other discussion. Okay, and then genetic engineering. Also, they have the ruling depend on the purpose of the therapy. Very important to understand it. Okay. And then the body banks. Body banks is also very interesting discussion in this book. The first as human meat bank, based on resolution of the International Academy, is not allowed. It's not allowed. However, there is some adjustment has been done. For example, in SASMEC, we have Halimatul Sa'diyah. That has been approved by the Jabatan Mufti Pahang. Mufti Pahang, the first Syariah compliant in Mid Bank. So I think the content maybe need to be updated or revised because we have another model, the new model in our country, in our university, has been approved by the authority. Then the sperm banks is also, we have divided to two, public sperm account or private sperm account with a different ruling that's set by Muslim scholars. Also, over banks, two different opinion based on conditions. Blood banks is permissible, if not for commercial or market profit, and tissue and bone banks is also with 5%. And then the last one, I think is very interesting because we have discussed about the mu'amalah issue. Mu'amalah issue, not many conferences, not many books have discussed about mu'amalah issue in medicine. But this book has touched, I think, three big things about the mu'amalah issue. Maybe it's common for the healthcare personnel, but they have a ruling that we need to be careful. Okay, the first, for example, receiving gifts from the medical companies. There are three conditions when medical companies give the gift, and we need to promote their products, and at the same time they have other drugs that are more effective, or other drugs are cheaper, or other drugs have similar price of efficacy. So all these scenarios are prohibited because we can be a bias to the patient. The second one is about the type of gift. I think it's very, very related to our hospital setting. For example, fund for scientific research is permissible if you not take any advantage for financial gain. I think it's clear. Charity is permissible, it's clear. Trifling gifts, I think it's a very common. Inexpensive gift such as leather, pen, that are given by the company. This is permissible if not influence to the doctor's decision making. To determine or prescribe the suitable drug for the patient. If not influence the doctors, I think it's okay. It's permissible according to the author. Then fund for attending conference or training, permissible if unconditional. But it's not permissible if you are tied with the obligation to prescribe for this drug or instrument. And free sample is also permissible if to introduce the product only without stipulation to promote that product. And the last one, training courses for the lecturer, permissible if it's part of the contract agreed by the both parties. Okay, the last one is about medical insurance, as said by the Dr. Saiful before this. I think it's very, very interesting also. The first one, we take cooperative insurance or takaful as permissible. The second one, commercial insurance, two opinion among the Muslim scholars. The third one is about health insurance. I think it's very interesting. There are three scenarios. The first one, health insurance provided by the health institution. The first thing, actually, Prof. Omar Hassan Kasuli have gave a suggestion for us at SASMEC in Shariah Advisory Committee meeting last year to look into the first one, health insurance provided by health institution. Then I think maybe we not have the model, or we have the model but not in Malaysia. One health institution that gives the health insurance to any client, they can their money first, and when they are seeking the treatment, get the treatment, we can deduct from what they deposit and so on. I think this is a very good thing we look into to improvise what is our common practice. The second one, health insurance provided by the Islamic Insurance Company with kafil plan. I think it's permissible and it's very clear cut. The last one, health insurance provided by conventional insurance, is not permissible. I think this is a summary of the this topic, three topics. I request by Dr. Saiful to cover or to discuss. I think that's all for me.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Ustaz. So another comment from me is that I'm sure the viewers love your slides because it can be the reference for them, especially if they feel like they don't want to read the whole pages of the book. They can actually looking at your important points that we discussed just now. And I think Ustaz have covered about the SIG maxims. Ustaz also have covered about the practical treatments regarding the jurisprudence as well as in medicine point of view. And what important is that been highlighted that in this book is been covered the muamalah issue. And I agree that sometimes it's difficult for us to find a reference, even a short reference, to apply the muamalah principles and been highlighted in this book just now. And I think there are similarities in terms of the practical point of view, in terms of what been practiced or what been suggested by the book, as well as what we practice in our local setting, example in SASMEC, right, Ustaz?
Yeah.
Except one that you highlighted just now about the human breast milk bank, right?
Yeah.
Which have been modified and has been accepted to be permissible in our hospital, right? Which I think need to be updated for the readers so that they know the current knowledge and update in terms of the principles. Well, with that, thank you very much, Ustaz, and thank you very much to all. And I think we have covered the first cycle. So we have the remaining, another 30 to 40 minutes before we go to Q&A. So I'm going back to our first panelist just now, Prof. Amin. Prof. Amin, thank you very much to stay with until now. So the second question which I have given to you before is that, based on your opinion, Prof, we have discussed just now about the contents of the book. Can you describe about the usefulness of this book in terms of the current setting and the future future use in medicine as well as law practice? And do you think there's any further information should be added for readers? Thank you, Prof.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you again. I think all the speakers, Prof. Razak, Madam Nina, as well as Ustaz Rahman have spoken their part, and I think it's quite comprehensive, even with a small, the short time, they can cover most of the things that I think is good. Then I learn a bit more from this one to understand, because you read alone and then you see somebody is commenting, maybe the perception is slightly different. But I think that is a good, then we have come to the discussion of this one. Pertaining to the usefulness of this book for our usage currently as well as in the future. I think is the first thing I have to emphasize. This is a must-read book for all, especially in the medical, a medical student and the practicing doctors, even the senior doctors. They have to know all these things by heart, in terms of the content. And then this is a good awareness for all of us, but we need a little bit extra, which is I'm going to touch a bit more after this, because to make it slightly more comprehensive in terms of the content, which is touch everything. They have to be something like this, but need to touch about the locality, because when we go through this book, we know this come from the one country, and then in other parts of the world, in the global, there will be a bit there and there is a different, which is I think this is something that we need to highlight, discuss, and then write further. Okay, the second part is this book. I think is a good effort to combine the few field of study, for example, from the Islamic scholar perspective, the law perspective, as well as a medical doctor's perspective. And then this is what we call the interdisciplinary or the multidisciplinary field, which is, they need to grow better by having more of a forum discussion, and then most important is documentation of what we have, because we have experts from different fields come out with this one, discuss with the issue, and then this come out with the resolution. And this is what did by the FIC Academy, International FIC Academy, also the FIC Council, in which they are have a combined effort of all the experts to come up with the resolution. In which I think locally also we need to have that kind of the groups or the committee, and then we can come out with what actually is more of the local usage guideline that we can use. And then the third things about this is a good reminder for all of us, because like the last few slides of the Ustaz Rahman just now talking about the practice, the sponsorship, the gift, everything for all the doctors, in which sometimes we forget. It's not that we don't know, and then the worst part actually is when we not aware of this is something, because we are getting the sponsorship, we are getting the gift from everybody, and then the most important part, the guideline is in terms of the intention. What is intention? Whether this is going to be a milestone of their marketing strategies, or this is actually is the something like mutual things. Whenever you get the implants, you get the instruments, everything, they come with the training part, which is actually is permissible in terms of that. This is actually is need to be highlighted, or maybe they will need awareness of all the doctors saying that, because this is the practice that we are facing currently. Everybody come to us. Higher the post you are, they will hire more people come and see you, offerings, everything. Then the guideline must be very clear. Okay, but in this book actually is they touch a very superficial, but I think it's a good enough for the guideline how we are going to deal with it. But we need to detail up a bit more so that we can actually apply. Another thing is in terms of just now, Ustaz Rahman mentioned about the changes in terms of this is the beauty of the contemporary issue. Sometimes with the research, and then with the more study, discussions, everything, the fatwa can be changed to the either the permissible to become non-permissible, or the prohibited previously, but they can now be allowed to do. For example, it's a very clear example is our milk bank, in which Malaysian fatwa as well as the international fatwa, academic fatwa also make it haram. But once we go deeper, and then we can ensure that all the process actually is can be restricted or do it properly to prevent, and the one that they become a problem if in the previous and then or not clear in the previous fatwa, then they can actually is change to this one, which is I think this is things that most of us in the medical field, in law, as well as in or the Islamic scholar have to think, and then have to kita panggil what you call belapang dada, saying that this one the changes can happen all the time. Okay, and then in terms of the comprehensiveness of the books, yes, I agree with most of the speakers. Some of the books, some of the content of this actually is a bit loophole in a certain part. For example, that highlighted before, highlighted just now is in terms of the muamalat is very small portion of the muamalat, in which the medical muamalat is a very big thing. We are not talking about the bill. We are not talking about the offer that the doctors give, hospital gives, everything, which is a huge thing. And then in this is a need to explore, and then need to another platform to discuss further on this thing. And then also in terms of the medical negligence that we are discussing in the earlier part, as well as the other contemporary issue, there is a lot more coming up, which is I think in future we need to highlight it very much. that is an important part in which I think is what we are going to for forward. I mean, in the future, there need a more platform. We need more discussion, and then we need to more documentation, so that this thing don't actually is become not useful for everybody, but this is actually become awareness, knowledge, as well as enhancement of whatever we have currently. So make use of these things, and then maybe we can start doing it in practical, inshallah. I think that is my comment in terms of the how useful this book. If I say if I can conclude, this is a useful book, must read for all. But in terms of the content, maybe there is not a lot of updating, as well as new things come out. Actually, is need to add on apa semua. But I think this is a final say that I can offer to for our discussion today. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum.
Thank you very much, Prof. Amin. So we can learn from Prof. Amin's opinion just now is that this book is really useful, especially to increase awareness and motivation for the readers to read more and to apply and to compare with our local setting as well, right? So it's even though it is not covering every aspect, but it's a good introduction for the readers to regarding this Islamic medical jurisprudence. Thank you very much, Prof. Amin. I invite Prof. Abdurezak. Prof. Razak, thank you for staying with us until now. Prof. Razak.
Yes, Prof. Yes, I'm around.
Alhamdulillah, Prof. Thank you for staying until now. Again, Prof, the similar question. Can you describe, Prof, based on your expert and opinion, the usefulness of this book in the current setting, as well as in the future setting in terms of medicine and law practice in our country, and any further information should be added to the readers to complete this reading? Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's a very good question, but I think partially this question has been, answered in one way or another by the other panelists. I've noticed that Ustaz, our Ustaz, and then our Madam, and then Prof. Amin, actually in one way or another they have contributed, or at least answered this question, in different aspects. But if I may add, I think one thing that I think also Prof. Amin was mentioning, and our Ustad also was mentioning, is that this book brings us to highlight the importance again, to revive, to the spirit, or maybe the connection of the connection between medicine and value system, the Shariah, especially the Shariah. It's a small book, relatively small, but actually with a lot of information about the connection between medicine and Islamic values. And if I go more steps on that, or if I may add some more, is that what attracted me about this book is that besides its subject, which is the connection between medicine and Sharia, the method of presenting the content was very straightforward.
Yeah.
The simplicity of the method is very important, in this book. Very straightforward and very, how do you say? I don't know how to say. It's very simple. When I say very simple, doesn't mean that the information is little. No, I mean like reading it is not complicated.
Yeah, easy to be read.
So whether you are from medical background, or maybe you are from Sharia background, or maybe from other healthcare subjects background, if you see this book, you wouldn't have difficult to read and understand and digest. Because one thing I noticed is that in terms of the flow of the ideas, they actually follow a very how do you say, helpful way of focusing on the concept first. So they give like definitions. They go, let us say, to surgical operations, and then they define. They go, let us say, to negligence, and then what negligence means. So it's like as if they want to say that we want to talk about the practice. The concept, and then the practice, and then the rules, and then the application. So the sequence of 8 years was very, straightforward and very easy to understand, and I like it. So that is one thing. The other thing that I have noticed, number 3, is that the authors of the book, actually, they didn't go to, let us say, the issues of more like mazahib argument. They didn't go into that details. Let us say when they talk about gender selection, or let us say when they talk about treatment, they didn't go to oh, this sheikh said this mufti said this mazhab said it. So it's more like they didn't go into the details, of where someone may get may get confused or may be lost somewhere in the discussions. In other words, discussing about the mazahib is not bad in itself. For example, let us say according to madhab Shafi'i, according to madhab Hanafi, Hanbali, Maliki. Yeah, it's good actually, because it's in a way it shows that the ulama's discussion about the issue, right? But for those who want to get straightforward answers, they may not be interested in ikhtilaf al-fuqaha, all this one. They are not interested. They just want to get straightforward to the point. What is the common position among all these mazahib on this issue? And that is what they did here. So I have not seen the authors discussing about the lengthy discussion. Sometimes, especially when medical doctors, when they want to read something, they don't want to go into all this ikhtilafat, right? They want to get straightforward, the point, the common position. Tell me in other words, give me the cheese. That's it. I don't have time for the what do you call the branch or the furu issues. So I think that is also one thing that is unique. And because they did that, I think because the book, they meant it to be a handbook rather than a reference book, right? And they included the basics of the topics, right? The other thing that I noticed in this book, which I like about it, is that they didn't go to, how do I say, it's they focused it on the authentic sources rather than disagreed and contested sources. Authentic sources, the Quran, the authentic Sunnah from Bukhari and Muslim and other, 6 collections of hadith. In other words, this is already enough, right? So there are some hadith which are contested, the authenticity, right? Like let us say a hadith, let us say maybe more like it's not da'if, but it's not also authentic, but somewhere in between. So they didn't go into those details, right? They didn't use those hadith. They just focus it on the authentic Sunnah and the Quran, ijtihad al-ulama, general, which is already enough. Because if somebody wants to go into those details, they can go to those sources. That is the message. So this is what I like about this book. Finally, I have noticed that, when you read, for example, I think Prof Amin was mentioning the academy, the Fiqh Academy, the Islamic Academy, the Islamic Fiqh Academy in Jeddah. Normally they have sessions. I have seen it in Arabic. Those sessions are very lengthy and very detailed, and sometimes when you read in Arabic, you need more time, right? This one, it was like when you open it, the case is there, the examples are there. In other words, it's more like here you have examples and practices, and here you have the concept, and here you have the source. In other words, more like a fast food, fast food. Giving, this is the prescription, very fast. So I think if I may conclude, this book should be used within the, the medical profession and health care. And let us see if let us say, Dr. Shaiful and others, if we feel that there are some topics that I still, need more discussions, let us come up with this book within IIUM level as well. I think that would be one lesson learned. In other words, volume 2 of this book should come from IIUM. And I think this is a message for Dr. Shaiful and Dr. Amin and the Ustaz and Madam for everyone. Shukran.
Thank you very much, Prof. Abdurezak. So if I can echo back what the conclusion being given by just now by Prof is that this book is user-friendly, reader-friendly. The information is there express and concise for the readers to read. And if there are certain things that need to be added on, we can add on another version from our local setting. Thank you very much, Prof. Abdulrazak. Maybe I ask further
Sure,
opinion
sure,
from
sure.
the third panelist, Madam Nina. Madam Nina, thank you. Stay until now. So again, there are similar questions based on your opinion and also your expert. What would be the usefulness of this book for the current medicine setting and law setting, as well as in the future? And you feel that is there any other things that to be added for readers to complete the reading? Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I think the previous speakers have explained, have commented extensively on the usefulness of this book. I have to agree with them. Where this book comes in handy, it's easy to be read with, user friendly, and it is suitable for even non-medical practitioners and for the public as well. So what can be gathered with regards to the usefulness of this book is, I think, number one, it could be a general reference for a law and medical practitioner, since it covers a wide range of discussion. So even though there are some chapters which was discussed extensively, but there are some also chapters discussed on only on the surface. But anyhow, it can still be used as a general reference for not only law, medical, or fiqh practitioner, as well as the public as well. Maybe students who look into what kind of courses they are going to be taking later, or high school students, or the public at large. Yeah? And then number two, the researcher may compare this book, the Islamic Medical Jurisprudence book, with the current medical ethics, and thus complement the existing framework to help healthcare professionals navigate complex ethical dilemmas in patient care. So, for example, the Shariah compliant hospital, they are doing research in comparing in implementing the Sharia compliant rule in that particular hospital by referring to this book, that it could help in complementing the existing framework that they have now, and fill in the gaps and loophole that is needed to perfect the current framework. And then emphasize on informed consent. So this book might be useful whereby it emphasize on the consent, not only form consent, like just signing a form, but it emphasize on informed consent that might be a reminder to the practitioners or the hospitals to give to take heed of the importance of informed consent. And then other than that, it may also help the non-Muslim medical practitioner in understanding Islamic perspective, facilitate discussions between healthcare providers and Muslim patients, and help ensure culturally sensitive care. So by reading this uh book, since it comes in handy, it doesn't really discuss the furuk, like Dr. Hashi says, on the scholars view, each scholar's view, but rather just go straight to the point, then it might trigger the interest of the non-Muslim medical practitioners to know more about the Islamic medical jurisprudence. And last one, as a guideline in integrating Islamic legal principles into existing legal framework. So it has to go hand in hand. Not medical comes in one bulk of ruling, while Islamic jurisprudence come in one. But no, it could be embedded into each other. It could be used hand in hand. Yeah, I think that is all on the usefulness. While my comment on the improvements that might be done, maybe Kuliyyah of Medicine wants to publish one more book for second version of this IMG, then maybe it can be confined to include few real reported cases related to the discussion at hand. So if you discuss about medical consent, state one or two cases, Malaysian cases maybe related to medical consent, so that we could see the application of that particular law into the local setting. And then comparing the Islamic medical jurisprudence to the common law medical practice or other legal system, maybe mixed legal system, or like Malaysia use common law legal system, then it could be the compare and contrast element may also be added. So I think this book is useful as a general and introduction of Islamic medical jurisprudence. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Nina. So I like your points in terms of the improvements, that it's good that we have points to compare these contents in terms of Islamic medical jurisprudence as well as our common practice law in Malaysia and also our local settings. Thank you very much for the information. And I think you also agree with the other expert just now regarding the usefulness of this book to the general readers, including public, and it can actually increase their awareness about this Islamic medical jurisprudence. Thank you very much, Madam Nina. Last but not least, I would like to invite our Ustaz Rahman to give his opinion regarding the usefulness of this book, and also anything need to be complement or add or need to be improved in order to complete this book for reading for all in terms of the usefulness. Thank you very much, Ustaz.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saiful. I think I agree with all the panelists. This book is very full, very helpful, with too many information, knowledge we get from this book. So I think for the health personnel, management of hospital, policymakers, lecturers, researchers, students, all of them need to read this book. The first one, to get the overview about the Islamic medical jurisprudence is very important. If all these parties have the basic understand and knowledge about this, I think too many things we can settle. Too many things can be, because we know too many issues, too many problems may arise if we not understand what's the maqasid, for example, behind this, how to decide for negligence and so on. I think it's very important because we cover all the important topic that is like medical jurisprudence, and because this book begins from the fundamental subject and the end with the contemporary issue. The second, what's the thing to improve? My suggestion first, if this book can be translated into our Malay language, I think not all, maybe some topics, I think it's very helpful. It's full for the more broaden our audience can understand this discussion. First, the second one, maybe make it digitalized, use simple word and keyword, poster, and mind maps, and so on. We can understand what the gist from this book. I think it's because this the new generation they not read all the books end to end. They tend to the simple word like the Twitter. So we need to get the approach to convey this message of this book. Okay, and then as I comment before, for the major or legal maxims, it's good if discuss all 5 legal maxims, not only one, because his book only Ad-Darar Yuzal, the harm need to be eliminated or removed. I think the others we need to discuss because it's closely related to the medical. The other things, I think the term used, because we know that this book is Saudi society, maybe doctors. I think instead of use doctors, I think better we use term for example, healthcare provider, the personnel. I think it's for nurses, because too many topics is related to them also, and other healthcare. Then for the arrangement, I think some topics, for example, discussion in plastic surgery, the authors put the general guideline in the end of discussion. I think it's better the general guideline, the general principle is come first before we discuss in deep. Is my opinion. And the last one, for the opinion or the sources, as we know, these are from Saudi. So the scholars, the Saudi or the academic resolution, I think is consensus. But if we can get more sources from other religious authorities, for example, Egypt, Jordan, and Europe Association Islamic, I think we can get more picture about this contemporary issue.
Mhm.
I think that's all for me. Allah.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Rahman. I like the point that you mentioned just now that this is not mean only for doctors, but also for all general healthcare providers. Thank you very much. So I think we come to the end, which is the Q&A session. So looking at the time, it's already 1 p.m. So if there's any burning questions or any important questions, I would like to invite everyone possible to speak up. You can switch on your mic, and also you can switch on your camera. And also you can speak with the panelists, or you might be write your question in the chat. You can type your question in the chat box. So far, the question I received is regarding about the access towards the book. In terms of this book, if for the physical book, we have already distributed to all departments in the Kulliyyah. There are still remaining books with me, and for those that already PM me, I can actually give the books to those that really require this book for their usage. I realized that Dr. Yusuf already switched on his camera. Dr. Yusuf would like to ask any question, Dr. Yusuf?
Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Thank you very much. I was just asking Dr. Saiful about the link. I managed to read through. Alhamdulillah. Just want to ask the panelists, maybe my mentor is there, Prof. Hashi is there, inshallah. Just want to ask, because especially on the page of 53, regarding on the ruling of seeking medical treatment, right? Basically, if you're mentioning here, it's just four, wajib, mandub, and permissible, and makruh. But let's say if a patient refuse by putting the idea of tawakkul, because there's an opinion, if not mistaken, I think there's an article good by, in Mufti Wilayah article, was mentioning about there's an opinion by the majority of the Hanbalites in Kashful Qina, as mentioned by Al-Buhuti, and even the opinions of Imam Nawawi, we mentioned that permissible, but leaving it is better. And they were like taking some hadith. For example, there's a hadith mentioning that when a woman came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet said, "In shi'ti sabarti walakil jannah." Or it's another hadith mentioned by Mughirah bin Shu'bah that manik tawa or istarka faqad bari'a minat tawakkul. Right? So the idea is that if a patient comes and saying that, no, I'm not going to seek any further surgery or whatsoever, or maybe he's not coming, but because of the family bring, and later on he's argue with the Muslim doctors by saying that, no, I'm holding the tawakkul concept. It's better for me to die in this condition. So, and it's one of the opinion of the fuqaha as well, not mentioned in the book, because the book is more towards treatment. So what's the idea of the panelists of this issue?
Thank you very much for the question, Dr. Yusuf. I think the issue is debatable. Maybe I can ask Prof. Abdurezak Hashi for his expert opinion, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
I think we start with our Ustaz first, because the Ustaz is here. Huh?
All right. Yes, collective opinions from Ustaz and also Prof. Ustaz, would like to begin first, Ustaz Abdul Rahman, regarding the issue of those patients that actually will rely on the principle of tawakkal rather than doing extra things like going for treatment or undergo surgery, and they stick on these principles. So, any opinion on this, Ustaz Abdul Rahman? Even though I think we did cover a little bit just now at the beginning of the introduction of the book.
I think Prof. Razak is the better person to answer it. But I agree with Dr. Yusuf, because this discussion among the scholars, ulama, because the concept of tawakkul is not behind the five ruling, because another thing, because if we understand this hadith, it's not simply we said that that woman that don't have any item or any tawakkal, because it's tawakkal, because I think our Prophet said to us this another mention in another dimension of concept of when we are facing the problem, we are facing the illness, then it's not only we talk about the hukum, the ruling. This what I will understand from this hadith, but I think Prof. Razak can explain more, because I also one of his student before, when I Kuliyyah Science, when our Mohd is there, I think it's not good for me to ask to answer more than him.
Yes, Prof. We're waiting for your answer, Prof.
I think Prof Amin, are you there?
Prof. He's still here, Prof. Now.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm also listening, but I can give you a bit of the clinical implication of it. This is a common things happen, especially in our setup in Nusantara. We have a lot of things, and then all the traditional scholar, Islamic scholar, always mention about this tawakal. I mean the concept of tawakul. In terms of getting disease, rather with whatever illness that happened to us. This is a common thing that we are facing in medical field. And then most of the time, we have to understand that the medicine is the treatment also is about offering the treatment. I mean, they are not something like when we ask you to have this treatment, you must do it. But there are also the element of balance. What we are usually teach our student in terms of the rejection of the patient when come to the treatments, everything. This is optional for the patient to decide. We have the right to give the option, but that is the option for patient to decide what is they think is the best for them. Because the most important part as doctors, they have to inform all the part of the treatment, but the decision come to form from the patient. Then come to the issue of tawakal, redha, because certain disease, even we doctors, we have to look at the patient condition. The effort have to be made, because that is also there is something that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala asks us to do. But when come to the certain stage, without effort, we cannot put the tawakal, because that is also another things that need to be emphasized for the patient. Because sometimes we are facing this thing. Patient come to the no, we don't want to have anything that haven't have done for us. We are enough, have enough everything. But that is a come to the, we call it the maqasid. Which one is a come first? If we think as an expert that we still can do something for the patient, and inshallah they have a percentage of there is a possibility that heal. So this we can actually is emphasize more about it. The weightage of the treatment is going to be more. There is something about balance. But however, if in terms of the patient, which we know that the patient is an end stage, stage of 4 or 5 of the cancers, everything that this one, and then patient is not that have much hope for this one. This is something that important for the medical doctors to see whether what is the wish of the patient. Because in this kind of the part, we also have to what you call we also have to surrender that we can't really do much. We are limited with our knowledge and then effort, but let Allah Subhanahu wa Taala decide on that. So this is a certain things we also advise the patient that maybe this is the better way for you. Just go ahead, get the tender loving care rather than give all sort of the chemotherapy or treatment which is going to be disturb patient more, and then it's actually is a part of his sometimes it's a harm rather than actually is a benefit. Wallahu alam. I'm not good in terms of this one, but this is something that we are facing the patient, the scenarios that common in our setup. Thank you.
If I may add a few more words, this is the good thing when you come as the last speaker, right? Ustaz Rahman, Amin, they all, Prof Amin, they all explain. So, if I may answer Sheikh Yusuf, Sheikh Yusuf is very close friend of mine. When he wants to show my age, he normally calls me mentor, But basically, he is also another mentor. But when he wants to tell that I'm older than him, he calls me mentor. Thank you. The answer to the question, as Prof. Amin and Shah Rahman mentioned, is that Sheikh Yusuf, to answer the question, you go to the book. Right? This is one way of avoiding to answer, right? Even though Dr. Yusuf, Prof. Amin and Dr. and Shah Rahman explained, right? So we have chapter 4 that is focusing actually on highlighting this issue specifically, you know, by the authors. But if I may go also on top of what our Prof and also Ustaz Rahman mentioned, is that remember when the ulama actually encounter these arguments by the Hanbali school, not all of them actually, some of them, not all the Hanbali school, some of them, especially with those who are more like, you know, how they say, you know, Sufi kind of, you know, Sufi Salafi kind of approach, right? We are not criticizing Sufis, we are not criticizing Salafis, but we know when we talk about the fuqaha with Sufi and Salafi, you know, motives, they have some kind of like differences there, right? So when they presented this kind of opinion, actually they were responded with the following. Number one, the ulama said the prophetic hadith is very clear, you remember? Ya ibadallah tadawu, right? All servants of Allah, there is no illness except when, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descended a treatment for it. So if you see this hadith, it's an instruction. So this instruction is there. Number two, the Prophet ﷺ did, you know, a number of, you know, medical treatment on himself, including capping or hijama, right? So that shows even the Prophet ﷺ sought, you know, a medical treatment. Number three, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, you know, how do I say, you know, it's like he advised us to eat certain food for immunization. This is good for this one, this is good, for example, honey, you know, black seeds, you know, and so forth. So the ulama said this was part of also healthy care advice or treatment, right? Prevention rather than treatment. Then number four, the meals and the methods of, you know, Prophet ﷺ advised you to divide your stomach into three. For example, we remember the prophetic hadith on consumption and meals, right? So that is also another medical treatment, right? So the ulama said all these teachings, and then as Ustaz Rahman was mentioning, you know, there are so many qawaid fiqhiyya that tells us to, you know, seek medical treatment, harm must be prevented, you know, and all this, right? Al-dararu yuzal, and so forth. And then one of the maqasid of Shariah is to save life. And one way of saving life is to, you know, seek medical treatment as well, right? So the ulama said, when they responded to this group, the ulama said, actually, a package of Islamic teachings, which are explicit actually, it's not based on ijtihad, a teaching, a hadith, authentic hadith are telling us to seek medical treatment. So we cannot sit aside, we cannot neglect, we cannot forget those teachings and say, well, we will do tawakkul. Yes, tawakkul is there, but look, tawakkul not only for medical treatment, but tawakkul in terms of locking your house, tawakkul ala Allah in terms of your study, tawakkul ala Allah in terms of your education, tawakkul ala Allah in your political leadership, tawakkul ala Allah in your administration. Actually, tawakkul is part of our faith, part of our iman. And that doesn't contradict when it comes to alam al-sabab wal-musabbib. Because in alam al-sabab wal-musabbib, of cause and effect, we take, you know, asbab, and then we leave it to Allah. Even though now medical doctors, they give us the medical treatment, but still that doesn't guarantee that we will get healthy, right? Medical treatment, they provide the treatment, but when we take the alam musabab wal musabib, get the medicine, get the consultation, get the advice, get the prescription, then we apply, then we tawakkal ala Allah, right? So tawakkal doesn't mean, you know, tawakkal versus treatment. No. Tawakkal is actually another level. Remember when Rasulullah saw this, you know, nomad, Arabi, when he came and then he tied, he left his camel. So when they asked, they said, what's happened? They said, no, I tawakkal ala Allah, you know, God will keep it for me. The Prophet said, no, tie your camel, then tawakkal ala Allah. So those who are putting tawakkul ala Allah against medical treatment, we tell them, okay, in that case, we don't lock our door from inside at night, we tawakkul ala Allah. We don't lock our car, we don't lock, what do you call the masjid, we don't do anything, we don't keep, you display your password for the account number, for your banking, for your bank, on your Facebook. Tawakkal ala Allah. It will not be break-in, no scammers. Even though we don't do that, right? We don't do that. I'm just using it as an example, right? So the point that I want to make here is, we keep our, password secret. We keep our, username secret. We lock our door. We lock our car. We protect our, things, our money. And then we tawakkal ala Allah. So the point that I want to make here is, the issue of tawakkul ala Allah doesn't contradict medical treatment. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry,
very much. I think it's really clear. I mean, in medicine, definitely the elements of spirituality and medicine come. And so we always advise our patient to pray for dua, other than actually complete our treatment as well. So it's come hand in hand, and we need to understand the patient expectations, idea and concern whenever the patient come towards the mutual shared decision making in terms of the treatment options. Thank you very much, Prof. Abdurezak. I think we've come to the end of the session. Just before we end, I just would like to have some last word from all the panelists. Maybe I can just start first with Madam Mina. Madam Mina, do you still hear, Madam Mina? Last word regarding this session today, and also regarding the book.
Yes. Assalamualaikum. I think this is my very first time involving in the book review forum, which I think is very beneficial because people will have the teaser of what the book is all about before they further on maybe downloading or even buying the book. And the forum would enhance their interest in enhancing the knowledge, not only in medical field, but any types of book is applicable in our setting, I guess. So congratulations to IOHK Kuliyyah of Medicine, who successfully conducted this forum, and I hope it is beneficial to both the panelists as well as the audience for this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mina. Prof. Amin, last word, Prof. Amin.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. I think I myself we learn a lot when it comes to the discussion. Maybe that is a good way of learning. Not much of a teaching, but the giving opinion also is a part of the growing the knowledge that we have. And then I think is like I mentioned just now, this book actually is a must-read book for all, medical as well as nursing. I think we have to extend the horizon of the reader better than what the preface of the book mentioned. And then the action plan for us maybe is in terms of get together and then go ahead with this one, because I think this is an opportunity for us to expand the whatever they have they are started, and then what we can do is my suggestion maybe is we can start with the case study, looking at the various aspects of the medical issues that surround us, and then come to the common thing first, inshallah. I think that's all my last word. Inshallah, we'll meet again in other platform or whatsoever. And then thanks for all the speakers and then all the listener. So inshallah, we hope they will get the benefit of what we expected to have, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Amin. Prof. Abdurezak, any last word?
Well, I talk a lot, so I think I don't have much to say. I only want to thank everyone for the input.
Ustaz Rahman, any last word, Ustaz?
Thank you very much to the organizer, inviting me, all panelists. all audience. So let's read this book
Mhm.
again for those who already read before, and for
Yep.
this first time, let's read. I think we can get too many things, inside this book.
Inshallah. With that, I would like to thank everyone, Prof. Amin, Prof. Abdurezak, Ustaz Rahman, Madam Nina, for staying with me until now. And thank you very much for doing justice to the discussion. I realized that you guys criticize the book not only from the positive point, also about the things that we need to improve further in terms of the contents. And I would like to take the challenge just now by Prof. Abdurezak that possible that the second edition will be from IIUM. Inshallah, I would like to invite all of you to be the collaborators. Inshallah, if there's any opportunity. With that, I would like to thank everyone. We end our session today with satu Astagfirullah Kifara. Thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum and happy reading for us.
Shukran.
Salam Ramadan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Salam. Thank you.
رمضان 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 يا حبيب رمضان رمضان ليتك دوما قريب Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the Quran, I feel it inside me, strengthening my iman. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib, Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب. Love is everywhere, so much peace fills up the air. Ramadan, month of the